Tonight, we begin with a question about promises. When governments make commitments in times of crises, what should happen after those promises are delivered, especially 9 months after those promises? Hurricane Melissa devastated communities across Jamaica, and questions are once again being asked about housing relocation and whether recovery efforts are moving fast enough for those who've lost everything. First, the opposition is demanding answers about the government's promise of 5,000 containerized homes for Hurricane Melissa victims. With reports that hundreds of units have already arrived in country, opposition spokesman on housing and sustainable living, Professor Senator Floyd Morris, is questioning why none have not yet been distributed to the families in need. He joins us live. Then, the demolition of occupied homes in West Albion out in St. Thomas has triggered political controversy. The opposition says the action raises serious questions about how the country treats its most vulnerable citizens and whether there is an effective strategy for addressing informal settlements. We examine the issue later. And after that, Jamaica's murder rate continues to fall. New figures show a 24% decline in killings so far this year. Is the country witnessing a lasting transformation in public safety, or is more work needed to secure the gains? We'll discuss. And finally tonight, the nation is mourning the loss of one of its most influential track and field figures. A titan of track and field, some say. Legendary coach Stephen Frano Francis has died at the age of 64. Tonight, we reflect on the life, legacy, and extraordinary impact of a man who helped to shape generations of champions. I'm Tyrone Reed, and this is Lead Story. Welcome back. 9 months after Hurricane Melissa left thousands of Jamaicans displaced, we are still talking about housing solutions for those badly affected. The housing solutions remain one of the most pressing issues facing many families. The government previously announced plans to acquire 5,000 containerized housing units to assist those badly affected by the passage of the storm. But the opposition is now questioning the status of that commitment. In a statement issued Monday, opposition spokesman on housing and sustainable living, Professor Senator Floyd Morris, said that despite reports that hundreds of these containerized homes have already arrived in Jamaica, none appear to have been distributed to displaced families. He is calling on the government to explain when the houses will be delivered, who will receive them, and what process will be used to determine eligibility. Professor Senator Floyd Morris, he joins me now. Top of the evening to you, Professor Morris. Welcome to Lead Story.
Same to you, Tyrone.
Indeed. Make the case for us, Professor Morris. You're saying too much time has elapsed and the folks have not received the housing solutions. Is 9 months, some may say, enough time for a government to get houses to those who are so badly affected?
Well, Tyrone, you're a reasonable man, and I'm certain that you, in answering that question, would say 9 months is more than enough. It takes, from my understanding of the housing sector, depending on what formulation you're using, you can get a house built within 6 months or less, dependent on what you are using. And we are now 9 months, and not one of these houses that the government has said that is here from May has been distributed to the people. You know, the first timeline for arrival was in January, and then we got some revised timeline, and the people of Jamaica have been patient. And I am saying, look, man, time come now for us to get the houses to the people. People are out there suffering. You know, when you drive through St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, in St. James, and you see people all over still living under tarpaulin, you know. I mean, it's disgraceful. And yet still I see us want to focus on taking people here and providing accommodation for them. It's craziness.
I see you feel rather strongly about this, Senator. But there was a release issued by the government. I'm not certain if you've seen it, Professor Morris. A release that was issued by the government today. It's dated July 6th. And I want to read it for you, and of course for the benefit of the viewers and to get your reaction to it. It's headline: construction/assembling phase of modular housing program underway, and it reads: the government of Jamaica wishes to advise that the construction and assembling phase of the modular housing program commenced last week and is progressing. The program, it says, which became necessary following Hurricane Melissa, which devastated sections of Jamaica, has been at the site assessment and procurement stages. It is expected that in the coming weeks and months, the construction of bases and assembling of houses section of the project will be sufficiently advanced in order to commence the handing over process. Cabinet Minister Robert Montague's tour of Western Jamaica in order to further assess progress made concerning the project, which had been set for last week, has been rescheduled for this week. Additional updates will be provided to the media subsequent to the tour. Let me pause there before reading the rest of it. Is that sufficient for you, Senator Morris? And should Jamaicans accept that from their government?
You know, Tyrone, I take note that one, that release came out after my call, my statement, right? That's the first thing. And secondly, I know that it says in the next couple of weeks, right? So the next couple of weeks can be another 4 weeks, can be another 8 weeks. So you are talking about from the government saying that the houses have arrived here in Jamaica in May, 2 to 4 months before one of those houses will be distributed to the people. And I want to know if bases are being built. Where are they being built? How are the people being selected? I want to know, are the members of parliament in the most affected parishes involved with the selection of individuals? How are these houses being distributed? What's the criteria for an individual getting these houses? We need to know. It can't be shrouded in secrecy because this is the people's money and we don't want this thing to become a political football where houses are distributed to individuals based on the party that they support.
But before I read the rest of the statement for the viewers and for you and to get your reaction to that, Senator Morris, there might be those who say your suggestion that MPs should be involved in naming names of individuals who should benefit runs the risk of politicizing the assistance, and that should be left to the state agencies that are so staffed to get the names of these individuals and to provide the solutions that are needed. How would you respond to that?
No, I'm not. I am not in my suggestion saying that members of parliament should name individuals. Right? I am simply asking what's the criteria, how these individuals are going to be selected. Will the members of parliament be involved in the process? And there is space for the members of parliament to be
It appears we've lost Senator Morris. Senator Morris, it appears we've lost Senator Morris. We are talking with Professor Floyd Morris. He's the opposition spokesperson on housing and sustainable living, and we're hoping to be rejoined by him in a few ticks. But Senator Morris is saying, look, what the government is saying isn't sufficient. I read for you from that statement. He's back with us. Senator Morris, thank you so much for rejoining.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I lost you on that point of whether or not your own suggestion doesn't run the risk of politicizing the assistance to Hurricane Melissa victims.
No, no, Tyrone, I wasn't suggesting that. I was just asking a number of questions.
Right. So why should parliamentarians be involved in this? We already have state-funded entities that can deal with matters of this nature. Why should politicians be involved? It appears we've lost Senator Morris again. Before we have to throw to the break, though, it is important that we complete the government's release on this. Of course, you heard Senator Morris knocking this statement dated July 6th, that this statement came in the aftermath of his own statement on the matter today, criticizing the government's response to Hurricane Melissa victims. It goes on to say, and I gather here is where the government would need to provide some amount of explanation. Now, the cabinet minister, Robert Montague, a tour that he was supposed to go on of Western Jamaica in order to further assess progress made concerning the project, which had been set for last week, has been rescheduled for this week. Why was that tour rescheduled? How many tours are we going to do before the help actually reaches the victims of Hurricane Melissa? Additional updates, it says, will be provided to the media subsequent to the tour. The statement goes on to say the project experienced temporary delays due to global shipping challenges surrounding the Chinese New Year and subsequent logistics constraints, all of which have been fully resolved by the government. The government refuses to compromise on quality and safety, and therefore a rigorous process has been engaged to ensure housing-based preparations met stringent regulatory and environmental standards. Additionally, says the release, continuous assessments have had to be undertaken to confirm land tenure and consequential suitability for construction. It goes on again to say the government remains steadfast in its mandate to deliver resilient housing solutions and will not be distracted by efforts to sensationalize the complex data-driven work required to ensure our citizens receive the support they deserve. Every site undergoes a critical assessment to ensure suitability, a necessary step that ensures the long-term safety of these housing units. Approximately 1,500 modular houses are in Jamaica. An additional 1,000 units are to arrive on the island by the end of this month. But when will those units specifically, a time frame not stated in this release as to when specifically these homes will be given to those who've been left homeless by the passage of the Category 5 Hurricane Melissa? Of course, that's a question the government will need to provide a response on going forward. We lost Professor Morris there, but hopefully we'll be able to continue to have this conversation. He's the opposition spokesman on housing and sustainable living. That's Professor Senator Floyd Morris. This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. We take a break here and come back with more.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Deposit Insurance in a Minute.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
Quiet on the set. Want you to read the teleprompter, all right? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Deposit Insurance in a Minute. Deposit Insurance is a system designed to protect depositors in the event that a bank or other deposit-taking institution fails.
It is a key part of a country's financial safety net, ensuring that if something goes wrong, depositors don't lose all their hard-earned money.
Big man thing, we never know say them thing exists.
JDIC is the government entity that protects depositors by insuring their deposits up to 1.2 million. So even if a bank fails, you won't lose everything.
A good something this one because me can't take no surprise with my money.
You can't say that again.
JDIC, protecting your deposits,
securing your future.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back to Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. Now, the demolition of occupied homes in West Albion, St. Thomas has become the latest flashpoint in the national conversation about housing, land ownership and social protection. The People's National Party is criticizing the government's response, arguing that more should have been done to protect residents who now find themselves displaced. The incident has raised important questions. What responsibility does the state have to people living in informal settlements? How should the rights of landowners be balanced against the human reality of families who call these communities home? And what does this say about the wider housing challenges facing Jamaica? We're now being joined by opposition spokesperson on land settlements and titling, Lothan Cousins. Top of the evening to you, Mr. Cousins. Welcome to Lead Story. It appears we have not yet made contact with Lothan Cousins. Mr. Cousins, are you hearing us? All right, still, we need to, as studio sorts that out. Lothan Cousins, he has raised this issue previously, and we want to get to the bottom of what is really happening out in St. Thomas. Let me try for Mr. Cousins one more time. Mr. Cousins, are you hearing us? All right, still not hearing there from Lothan Cousins. So we're going to try to, we're going to take a break. Let's take a break right here while we try to sort out what's happening with our lines.
show on earth is here, and Fan Central goes into extra time for 39 days right throughout FIFA's Showpiece tournament, with a Pepsi in hand, of course. Catch the playbook with a tactical breakdown from our expert coaches. Come sit in our fan corner, where you have your say on the day's action. Fame or shame, who were the best or worst players of the day, and have a laugh as we share some of the best reactions on social media. After the final whistle, it's extra time. Fan Central Extra Time. 8 p.m. daily with 10 p.m. shows on select days where there are 8 p.m. match kickoffs.
Fan Central Extra Time is brought to you by the Pepsi Football Nation, where fans make the rules. Football, better with Pepsi.
Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us. This whole business of informal settlements is again in the news, and we have the opposition spokesman on land settlements and titling, Lothan Cousins. Top of the evening to you, Mr. Cousins. You're with us now?
Yes, good evening. Good evening to your viewers. Thank you for having me.
For those not familiar with what's happening out in St. Thomas, Mr. Cousins, could you walk us through what's the state of play right now?
Well, as far as my understanding goes, initially there was a demolition by state agents, and there was a further demolition, I believe, last week after the issue became a national issue that was being debated nationally. I understand that several houses have since been further destroyed, and that there are many residents, including members who are of the Jamaica Defence Force, Jamaica Constabulary Force, civil servants, who have been displaced since the most recent round of demolitions.
And who are which state agency in particular is carrying out these demolitions?
It is the National Land Agency, the body entitled, who's entrusted by us, the people, with the stewardship of the crown lands, the government-owned lands. So it's not a private initiative, it's a public initiative.
Right, so the National Land Agency is carrying out the demolitions. Are these individuals who are being affected, do they have a legal right to be on these lands?
Well, that's a question that is very interesting. The laws as it relates to public lands, state-owned lands, state that you must be occupying the land for 60 years continuous without intervention in order to dispossess the state. In order for you to dispossess a private citizen, it is 12 years. Now, our argument has been that the law as it relates to 60 years is archaic. It was initiated in the 1800s, post-slavery, to deliberately dispossess or keep ordinary Jamaicans or former slaves out of the land ownership process. We have to remember that up until universal adult suffrage, only persons who own land in Jamaica could have voted. That is where we're coming from. So we have a systematic issue that is there from the colonial era that needs to be corrected today. And it is impatient of debate.
Reasonable. But to the question of whether or not those individuals who have been affected by the demolitions have a legal right to the lands on which they had these homes, the answer to that is what, Mr. Cousins?
It is subject to the tenure of their occupancy. If they have been there sufficiently long enough, because remember now, we're living in a country where our grandparents used to live on a piece of land, our parents live on it, we have come now and lived on it. So it all is subject to the courts to determine whether or not they have a beneficial interest in the land. So, for example, anybody who has occupied a piece of land beyond the time stipulated on the Limitations of Actions Act, by right, they have a legal entitlement to that land. So if you sit down with your land for long enough and you don't look after it, you don't prevent people from occupying it, and they have reached that threshold, your right automatically extinguishes. So it's not a simple question as to whether or not they're legally there or not. That is a matter for the courts to decide.
And you're saying the process was circumvented. This matter did not go to the courts. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Well, we are saying that you demolishing occupied homes where people you have allowed them to build that home, and a home doesn't take a month or 2 months to build. You, as the owner of the land, have a duty to ensure that nobody trespasses on your land and that your land is not a nuisance to your neighbor. Now, if you leave a piece of land as a government and people take 6 years to build a house, 4-bedroom, concrete structures, it simply means you have acquiesced somewhat to them being there, and then in the elections you're there campaigning. You're seeking their vote, you send your runners out to them for them to vote, and then after an election, you turn around and demolish their homes when it's just starting a hurricane season. We are saying that based on Jamaica being a partner to many of the United Nations conventions that treated circumstances like this, that is displacement and homelessness, we are in breach of our treaty obligations as well internationally.
Just to be clear on 2 points, Mr. Cousins, the land, we are showing images on our screen just now of the actual demolition out in St. Thomas. The lands we're looking at, Mr. Cousins, are these Crown lands or are these privately owned lands? Just to be clear on that.
Well, my understanding based on who is carrying out the demolition is Crown land.
It's Crown land. Because you did say also, the National Land Agency.
There's a portion of that land that you're looking at where when that big flooding took place in Bull Bay, many persons were relocated from Bull Bay to some sections of that land. That is my understanding.
So they may have been relocated there by state agencies.
Precisely.
All right, and let me ask you another point. Based on your understanding of what's taking place on the ground, Mr. Cousins, was notice given to these residents that the demolition was going to take place?
Well, put it this way. The issue of whether a notice is sufficient is a matter that ought to be subject to judicial review. And that is why we have certain mechanisms in place to protect the interest of the private citizen. It is now incumbent on the private citizen who has so been displaced to approach the courts, seek judicial review for the courts to determine whether or not the notices were sufficient. I can serve a notice to anybody, but the notice may not be sufficient. So I cannot pronounce on the notice and the effectiveness of the notice. Right. But what I can say is that from a humanitarian point of view, right, we need to ensure that if the lands are earmarked for development, we offer them the land to purchase, because I said most of them are civil servants as I understand it. Those who have spoken to are civil servants. Offer them to purchase the land. Don't demolish their homes. Incorporate them in whatever development you're contemplating.
All right, I hear you on the explanation, but to that central question of whether or not notices were issued, do you know if that's the case?
My understanding is that the NLA is saying that they issued notice. The matter of you issuing notice is not the be-all and end-all. It's not a panacea. There are other circumstances beyond the notice. Let us not get into any legal debate. The debate here is whether or not what is taking place is humane. And the simple fact is it is inhumane.
Besides raising the issue, I'm almost out of time. Besides raising the issue publicly, what else is the opposition prepared to do to help these residents?
Well, we are preparing the documentation to submit to the United Nations committees. The government can't be begging the Inter-American Development Bank and World Bank for support when they are also subject to these treaties that we have signed. And the government is putting itself in a precarious position, because if these pacts of displacement are proven, they may jeopardize their ability to even get Hurricane Melissa recovery funds from these organizations. So I don't see the sense in it.
We have to leave it there. The voice there of opposition spokesperson on land, settlements and titling, Lothan Cousins. Mr. Cousins, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This is Lead Story. We take the break right here and come back with more.
Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Hi, I am Candy Pang.
Watagwan. Watagwan.
That's a guan pa.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Welcome back to Lead Story. Jamaica's murder rate continues to trend downward, with new figures showing a 24% decline in killings so far this year. The government says the reduction reflects ongoing security efforts, but experts warn that sustaining the progress will require continued action against violent crime. Joining us now to discuss this issue further is criminologist and security expert Dr. Jason Mackay. Top of the evening to you, Dr. Mackay. Jason Mackay. All right, we're still having some technical issues here. We're hoping to be joined by Dr. Mackay in a few ticks. Of course, why this is worth talking about is last year, you might recall, viewers, that Jamaica recorded a 30-year low. Yes, I think it's about 31 years, the lowest murder numbers recorded in 30 years. Yes, in the 600 plus murders recorded last year, coming down significantly from the average over the last few years. Dr. Mackay, he joins us now. Dr. Mackay, are you there? Still not hearing Dr. Mackay. Dr. Mackay, good afternoon. All right, still not hearing Dr. Mackay. We'll continue to try to sort that. So this year's decline so far this year, between January to June, viewers, is rather significant because it's on the back of that decline last year, where we never really saw those declines in murders in 30 years. Yes, that's quite significant. And of course, all of this happening against the backdrop of an international think tank, that are saying that Jamaica is, according to all the countries included in that latest report, Jamaica adjudged to be the most peaceful country in the Caribbean. And I think third in the Caribbean and Latin America, among those countries included in that study. Of course, that's nothing to scoff at, quite the accomplishment there for the country. So we want to talk about the murder numbers. We've got an expert for you, criminologist and security expert, still trying to make contact with Dr. Mackay, but a conversation, and one of the issues that we want to put to Dr. Mackay is, are these lower numbers, this decline, the significant decline in the murder numbers, is that translating to people feeling safer on the streets? Are you prepared to sleep with your windows and doors open? That's also another question that we would love to put to the security expert, Dr. Mackay. Dr. Mackay, top of the evening to you once again. Are you with us now?
I think I'm with you. Are you hearing me this time?
Loud and clear, we're hearing you. If you can give us some volume here in studio. Dr. Mackay, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us here on Lead Story. The numbers, Dr. Mackay, continue to tumble, yeah? Should Jamaicans feel more secure because of this?
Well, I think you should feel more secure in respect of specific things, like being caught in the middle of a gun battle between gangs and police, or gangs and gangs, that type of atmosphere that is more in keeping with a city at war. You don't have to worry about those things as much anymore, because there's significant impact. There's significant less impact by the gangs. You of course still have to be sensible. Although robberies are down, you still have to be sensible, because there are other social factors that result in persons committing crimes. But this is a significant reduction in crime, and very worthy of praise.
The Prime Minister had made a quite a bold statement a few years ago about under a Jamaica Labour Party government, the citizens would have been able to sleep with their windows and doors open. Of course, the murder numbers didn't tumble immediately, and he was pilloried for that particular comment, Dr. Mackay. He even, in an attempt, I suppose walking it back would be a strong term. He said it was largely aspirational. Based on where we are now with these numbers, can Jamaicans sleep with their windows and doors open? As a security expert, is that the wise thing to do?
Well, I don't even think that's the wise thing to do in Sweden, where there's no crime. It's just not a good way to sleep. You should have your doors locked, because there's still issues that contribute to that type of crime, breaking and entering, simple larceny and that type of thing. So I would never suggest that you sleep with your doors unlocked. Are you significantly safer than you were? Yes, you're significantly safer than you were. There's a less chance of something happening, because there is more consequence for it now. But I wouldn't go to the point where I'd start sleeping with my doors locked. But where one day may even get there.
There are those who are asking, Dr. Mackay, they're put on the table that the record-breaking numbers is being paired with an increase in police fatal shootings as well. And the suggestion is that the center can't hold, that this isn't sustainable. How do you respond to that?
I mean, you're fighting an extremely volatile community, being the gangs in themselves. They themselves are a movement, almost like a militia. If you're gonna do battle with them, and you're gonna take the battle seriously, you're going to have fatals, and that's just how it is, because you have significantly more operations, so you have significantly more contact, so you have significantly more gun battles, and subsequently significantly more deaths. It's just what happens if you increase your operations. I don't think that. I would like to think that at some point these men will start to live their lives another way and stop shooting at the police.
And there has also been much talk about body-worn cameras, and you've had your say on that. Has your thinking changed on the need for body-worn cameras on planned operations?
Well, I mean, to me, it still comes down to the red blinking light. I mean, I know that other persons have said that the body-worn cameras the light can be turned off. I have tried everything known to man. I put it in front of 2 engineers and they can't lock it off. So as long as that red blinking light exists on the officer's chest, I don't think he should wear it during high-risk entries or high-risk operations, you know?
Yeah, I myself have done some checks, Dr. Mackay, and there is what is called stealth mode, and perhaps it's the model and make of camera that you're looking at.
Well, I'm looking at the one issued to the JCF. I'm not sure what you're looking at, and I'm not sure if you've actually ever handled one, but I've handled one. I've visited engineers with one. And I can't find a way to get it on. I can't find this button to put it on stealth mode, and neither can they.
One, Dr. Mackay. How many models are on the market?
One. Everybody, the JCF gets one as far as I know.
No, but you said you've only handled one model and make. How many models are on the market?
Many models, but the models given to the JCF at this point in time, I don't think they're able to go on stealth mode. I have not been able to figure it out. I am not an engineer. But I have not been able to do it. I've pressed the buttons that Mark Shield says you need to press and all of that for his editorial. I just can't get it on stealth mode. I don't know if there's another type. I imagine there is types that can get it on that. But the ones that we have spent on, the 800 million on, don't go on stealth mode. And until the red light can come off, then we can't even have that discussion.
Is that a failure of procurement then if we're purchasing cameras that can't be placed on stealth mode? Shouldn't we have checked into that before purchasing these cameras?
Well, I don't think that was necessarily the thought process. I mean, the high risk entry is not supposed to be done. It's not usually done with persons with body cams on them.
I hear you use the word usually, which means it can be done.
You can do anything. You can put a blue blinking light on your chest if you want to do. Whether it's an advisable security measure, I don't know. But I know it's not a good security practice to have a blinking light on your chest.
Many people have taken you to task for this argument that you put on the table, Dr. Mackay, that, police personnel ought not to be using these types of equipment when going on unplanned operations. So they're saying the world over, there are personnel in armed forces, security personnel who do this. So it's mind-boggling to them that this is the argument that you're offering. How do you respond to those critics?
Well, I don't know how much time those persons have spent doing high-risk entry. I've spent 25 years doing it, and I have never seen teams do. And I know that the model that we have has a red blinking light. Now I don't know if an engineer can re-engineer it to get the red blinking light onto stealth mode, but the buttons that are supposed to be there are not there. That I'm being told that are there to put it on stealth mode, I'm not seeing. But as I said, I'm no engineer. If it can go, if you can take the red blinking light off, then it's worthy of a discussion. If you're not, if it can't come off, or if it's not at this point in time, I don't know how to get it off, then it's not a good thing to wear in a high risk entry.
Sort of time, as a security expert, would you recommend that the next batch or future batches being purchased by the JCF possess the capacity to go into stealth mode, to remove that red blinking light? And then if that is the case, would you then, as a security expert, be in agreement with these body-worn cameras being used for planned operations?
I think I'm willing to hear the discussion if the red blinking light is off. I mean, I'm willing to start the discussion. With the red blinking light is on, I'm not even willing to start the discussion. But if the red blinking light is off, then clearly we can have a discussion about wearing them.
Yeah, and I'm asking you, if the red blinking light can be turned off, would you support it being used on planned operations?
Yes, if the red blinking light is off, and if we can get some practices as it relates to how to deal with the issues that present themselves when you're doing high-risk entries into people's homes. You have it's a dynamic entry. You're going in, you're seeing people half closed or not closed at all. How that data is to be protected when searching their private drawers and so on. How do you protect them from that things that may be in the draw. I think all of these things need to be discussed.
All right, lots of
once
questions.
we get off the red blinking light.
Lots of questions to answer there, but hearing from you that you're saying you might lend your support to it, but there are other concerns. Criminologist, security expert Jason Mackay, Dr. Jason Mackay, thank you so very much, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
This is Lead Story. We take our final break for this evening, and when we come back, the Jamaican track and field community and the international track and field community has lost a titan of track and field, Stephen Frano Francis. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Everybody want to see a country right now. One thing about Jamaicans, we might have differences, but we know when something is good for all of us. And when we work together against crime and violence, we are stronger than ever. And that's how we know the Citizen Security Plan can work. That one that name CSP. The Citizen Security Plan is an initiative of the Ministry of National Security in partnership with the European Union. It's an all-of-government effort to create safer streets and build stronger communities. Go to mns.gov.jm to learn how you can play your part.
Watagwan. Watagwan.
That's a guan pa.
Watagwan.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
That's a guan pa. Watagwan.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back to Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reid. Jamaica's track and field community, and indubitably the global track and field community, is mourning the passing of Stephen Frano Francis, co-founder and technical director of MVP Track Club. He has died at the age of 64 years old. His passing comes just days after the club confirmed he was receiving medical treatment following widespread speculation about his health. To generations of athletes, Francis was more than a coach. He was a mentor, a strategist, and a central figure in one of the most successful periods in Jamaica's track and field history. His impact can be seen in the careers of numerous Olympic and world championship athletes who passed through the MVP system. Tonight we reflect on his life, his contributions, and the legacy he leaves behind. Join us now to discuss the life and times of Stephen Frano Francis is sports journalist, one of the best in the business, Trishana McGowan. Top of the evening to you, Ms. McGowan.
Good evening to you, and good evening as well to the viewers.
We also have here inside Lead Story track and field analyst and sports journalist. Also, and I must say this as well, one of the best in the business as well, Leighton Levy. Top of the evening to you, Leighton Levy. All right, so we're not hearing Leighton, but let's press ahead until we can make contact with Leighton. Trishana McGowan, locate Stephen Frano Francis for us. Locate him. Where does he stand in the halls of those great track and field coaches?
Well, I know people like to say, that he's among the best, and I always say to him whenever I see him, whenever I run into him, I remind him that you're the best. And he will joke about it to say, he leave it to everyone else. He just loves doing his job and producing. So for me, whenever I do see him, I make sure to remind him. And behind his back, I give him all the praise. I think he's one of the best track and field coaches. And I say that because he's not just a sprint coach. Many see him as a sprint coach, but I remind people that Jermaine Mason, formerly of Woolmer's boys, that represents Great Britain, he coached him in the high jump where he won silver in the high jump. We saw Tajay Gale when he won that brilliant gold medal for us, unexpected gold medal in the men's long jump. And I can go on and on. O'Dane Richards with that shot put back in 2013, 2015, when he earned himself a bronze medal in the shot put. So he's not just a sprint coach. He's a track and a field coach, and he did a fantastic job overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you've mentioned there is versatility, not just on the track, but also off the track, the field events that he excelled. What would you say, Trishana McGowan, is Fano Francis's greatest accomplishment as a coach?
First of all, we take for granted how great we are as a nation and individuals. And we punch above our weight. Let me start there. I think we punch above our weight with the limited resources we do have and go on to the world stage and do well. You see us in the various bobsled and so on. And what are we doing? And Stephen Francis, when he decided to walk away from finance and take up track and field coaching because he believed that we had the talent, they need to stop going overseas, some of them, not all, because we can train here and get the same results that we're getting at champs. And for me, his greatest accomplishment, I know people say all the medals he won, but when he coached Asafa Powell to a world record, breaking that 100-meter world record for the men, and everyone maybe thought, it was impossible, or it would have been someone overseas. Nah, it was that coach born and bred here in Jamaica, went to Woolmer's boys, and that world record, initially broken, now held by Usain Bolt, that record was broken by Asafa Powell from Charlemont High School in St. Catherine. So for me, personally, that's one of his greatest accomplishments, among all the other things that he has gone on to do.
Thank you so very much, Trishana, for joining us. We're now being joined also by track and field analyst and sports journalist Leighton Levy. Leighton Levy, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Yes, Tyler, good to be on CVM talking about the great man.
And in your absence, I did say you're one of the best doing it. But Leighton, help us to locate, as I asked Trishana earlier, Stephen Francis in the Hall of the Greats, in the pantheon of the greats. Where does he stand?
He stands to me at the very top. I heard Trishana's response to you, and I completely agree. There have been so many great coaches in track and field. There's the Tom Tellez's, John Smith, Lawrence Seagrave, Glenn Mills. But what Stephen Francis has been able to do is not just about what he's done in terms of the athletes that he's developed. What he did as a coach is change a national mindset about what is possible here. As you heard Trishana allude to, before MVP became a force, the force as it is now, most, if not all of our athletes were trained abroad. Glenn Mills took Raymond Stewart to the Olympic finals in '84. Dennis Johnson took Anthony Davis to the Olympics in '72. But those were far and in between. What Stephen Francis was able to do was to show that we could do this consistently and at the very highest level. Took Shelley Fraser Price to historically create winning Jamaica's first Olympic gold medal, notwithstanding the 20-odd years of Merlin Ottie's reign as Jamaica's sprint queen. And, it took Elaine Thompson doing things that she's a pantheon of one. It took Asafa Powell to a world record and for a while, before Usain Bolt came on the scene in 2008, made him the fastest man in the world in terms of holding the world record of 9:77. Setting that time, I think he ran that time 5 times, and then he lowered it to 9.74, and then Bolt took it to these otherworldly levels. But what he's been able to do with all of those athletes, plus a Million Walker, plus a Nesta Carter, Michael Frater, Tajay Gale, Kishan Thompson, there's so many people who he has taken from the ground up to the very pinnacle of the sport. And, that I think is his lasting legacy.
Leighton Levy, and finally to you, he one of the co-founders of the MVP Track Club. It became a household name. That the singular decision to start that track and field club and the impact that it has had on Jamaica's image on the global stage in terms of how many great athletes it has produced and Olympic and World Championship medals. How important was that decision on the part of Stephen Francis et al.?
It was transformational. As I said before, most of our athletes were being coached overseas. And it was sparingly, we won medals sparingly, gold medals sparingly. Prior to, remember Herb McKinley coming through to Georgia Road, down to, of course, Lennox Miller, to Donald Quire, to Raymond Stewart, Michael Green. What he is. Remember the question again?
Yeah, I'm saying how important was that decision, that singular decision to start the MVP?
It was significant in the sense that I said before, it transformed the national thinking and it made us aware of what is possible here. Despite the lack of infrastructure, despite the lack of resources, the impact is beyond words. There is nothing that you can actually do to describe what Steve, he has become a fabric of Jamaican society and Jamaican sport. Because you mentioned household name, it's not just a household name in Jamaica, it's a household name in Europe, the United States. Where they held the camp every year in Italy, one of the first comments that came out on social media was from the people who own that hotel where Stephen Francis brought the MVP camp every year. I did an interview with Otto Bolden today that I'm actually going to post shortly on my YouTube channel, where he talks about how people were talking about Stephen Francis's passing coming from the Prefontaine meet on Saturday. He was a household name on the face of Jamaica's track and field. Indeed. We are out of time, but undoubtedly Stephen Francis, one of the greats, one of the best to ever do it. Thanks to Leighton Levy. Thanks to Trishana McGowan.